Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers because honestly, last night was such an embarrassing loss, such a demoralizing loss, um, that I just wanted to continue to kind of just approach this channel with an understanding. And that understanding is if we're not going to do things that are going to put us in a position to succeed, it really does not matter whether or not we have guys giving us 100% effort, whether or not guys are hitting shots or missing shots. If you listen to my video last night, you'll notice I didn't mention anything about how guys were going cold because in my mind, to be completely honest with you, the game was lost midway through the second quarter. And anything after that didn't really matter until pretty much 7 or 8 minutes into the fourth quarter, where we had Wayne Ellington get hot, and then from there, Austin Reeves went on a hero mission. Aside from that, there was really nothing going on between the second and third quarter other than the Los Angeles Lakers leaving the door open for the Memphis Grizzlies to repeatedly do things that were easy to accomplish. And that's really what it came down to. You know, were guys missing shots? Yes. But the body language was already that of a team that had given up, already that of a team that was defeated. So the shots weren't in rhythm. The plays we were running weren't quality plays. In the first quarter, we were running stuff so good on both sides of the floor that I thought we were playing some of the best basketball I had seen us play. On one end of the ball, we were making timely passes, getting shots up. Guys were playing the rhythm, taking good shots and things of that nature. We had LeBron James doing his normal thing in the first quarter. And the only thing that really kind of threw us off was the fact that we couldn't get nothing from Avery Bradley, who continued to shoot. Aside from that, there was really nothing going on until that moment when the Lakers started to feel demoralized after having a couple layups go over their heads a couple times. And that's really what it was. So, you know, the fact that guys with this guy might have been 2 for 10, that guy might have been 2 for 8. Chances are that those shots were being attempted during that span of time between the second and third quarter, when really we weren't doing anything to help ourselves from a schematic standpoint. And I felt like the team just let their foot off the gas, just kind of sighed, like, slumped their body language. And from there, it was just nothing left in them after that first quarter, when they realized that no matter how well they were playing and how hard they were playing, their coach was not going to put a rim protector on the floor to save their backsides. And once you realize you're giving off wasted energy, once you realize you're exerting yourself as hard as you can, it can come to nothing. Then you realize that you're wasting your energy and you stop exerting that. And that's what I saw from the team. And it's not about, they just couldn't hit a shot. No, they stopped trying to a degree. They just did. And you understand it. You understand what demoralizing really is. And it wasn't the other team that was doing it. It was us doing it to ourselves. So, yeah, that's why I didn't harp too much on the missed shots. Wasn't much to say about it. Guys just stopped playing. And once we put Dwight on the floor near the end of the second quarter, we immediately got 2 or 3 offensive rebounds. We ended up finding ourselves in position to hit layups. We were getting layups that we weren't able to get. And see, you gotta, I want to make sure I give credit to the Memphis Grizzlies, because they did do things defensively that made it so that a lot of stuff that we're normally able to do didn't come to us. So when we had to readjust some of those plays, or when they'd stop us from driving toward the lane, we would have to find other things that work for us. And a lot of times we would get situations where we'd be run down to the shot clock, the end of the shot clock, having to launch up a 3 or something like that. They would then rebound it because they have the size, and then go back down there and score easily, because that's how it was going. Jaren Jackson was just shooting jump hooks over everybody. That's really what it was. And then they had guys like Conchar and Zaire Williams shooting very well from the behind arc. And then you have a guy like Slow-Mo facilitating the basketball all over the place, even when Ja Morant's sitting down. Ja didn't particularly play that well. I expected he was going to have a huge game. He really didn't. We did a pretty solid job of keeping him off the floor. I think he got in some foul trouble or something like that. I'm not really sure throughout the course of the game why he wasn't able to get his numbers per se. But it didn't matter because Desmond Baines was red hot. And then they just continued to get everything that they needed from their team. You know what I mean? Guys like Tillman, even though he didn't have a big scoring night, he got his double-digit rebounds. Like, these are the type of things that happen when you don't let Dwight play, you know? And the thing about Dwight is, yeah, is he having the best season? No. But have we given him consistent minutes? No. In every single situation I've seen Dwight Howard have consistent minutes, no matter what team he's been on, he's been able to do two things. He can most definitely rebound the ball, and he can most definitely block a shot. So it's always been, whether he's played at a super high level in Orlando, or whether he played at lower levels in Atlanta and Charlotte, or whether he was at the 2000 20 team, won the championship, or even in Philadelphia when Joel went down, he's always been able to give you a double-double. So with the Lakers needing rim protection and rebounding, you sit there, you look at Dwight Howard, who may be a little further down the road in his career, but is still historically one of the greatest players at those two things. You have to wonder where the logic is in not playing him. And they say the things like, he's not as effective as he used to be. How do we know? The only Dwight I've ever seen was a consistent minutes given Dwight. If anything, he was one of the highest usage players ever. So he's most definitely better when on the floor. If you don't give him consistent minutes, how can he ever get in a rhythm? These are the type of things I just wonder what we're thinking. And I know it's a philosophy thing about wanting to play small ball, but we've broken down a million reasons for why it doesn't work. And it's not going to unless you do it against certain types of rosters. And we are not overly talented, so trying stuff like that just doesn't help us at all. So I'm hopeful that the Lakers will finally see the fruit in that. They were pretty embarrassed last night. We've had many embarrassing losses because of this very thing, and I don't see a solution outside of guys changing their philosophy. I can sit up here on this channel and say, the Lakers need to fire everybody, trade everybody or whatever. But if they don't believe they should, guys are still going to be here. So at the end of the day, those people are going to have to change their philosophy to get better results. And that is what it comes down to. We can scream to the mountaintops, but at the end of the day, they're running on Bron's timeline. They're running on Bron's schedule. And it's up to Bron to get tired of this and demand a center play for his team. If he demands we get a center or demand we play Dwight Howard, Dwight will be playing as much as he says. No one's going to go against him. So I always say, we take the good with the bad with LeBron James. While we appreciate that he's still one of the best players and putting up amazing numbers, what I don't appreciate is the fact that it's his fault the team is as bad as it is. It's his fault that the roster's constructed as it is, and I can't for the life of me figure out why anybody, including myself, my very own self, thought bringing in Russell Westbrook's contract was anything less than a disaster. I can't seem to figure it out. Now that we're here, I look back at myself with the same confusion that I look at everybody else who was supporting this thing. Because it didn't make any sense. It was too much of an expensive contract to bring on to take on the risk of it maybe not working out. It's just too expensive for that. So, yeah, this was a bad decision. It shouldn't have been okayed. And now that we're in this space, you look at a game like last night, you look at Russell Westbrook's production, you realize he can't help you in the areas you need him to help you. Even if he has a good Russell Westbrook game, he still doesn't provide what you need, which is rim protection. So, you spending $42 million on that player, $47 million the following year, and he can't even provide you the things that are most definitely needed. Clearly, you've made a huge mistake. So, I look at Anthony Davis and say he can fix all of this if he's healthy, but the fact that you're riding on the notion of him being healthy, you're hoping that all of this comes together because of him staying together when he's been one of the most injury guys that we've had in this league, injury-prone guys, rather. I mean, you got to ask yourself, why would you even think that was a good decision there? So, I said at the beginning of the season, when we first put this team together, it was all about AD. Because he was going to be able to mask a lot of what was wrong with us because we were letting go of defenders at the wing spot. And if you don't have rim protection, it's no way to win that way. When you let a guy like KCP, you let a guy like Caruso walk out the door, you are definitely going to be giving up a lot. And if you don't support that or replace that, it's three-point shooting ain't going to help that. You can bring in all the three-point shooters you want, but you're going to look terrible out there. And that's exactly what you're seeing. It's the Lakers looking terrible out there. So, um, luckily enough, we did get some guards we like. Like I do love our guards, but they just don't play the type of defense that puts us in a position to be able to forgo of having a rim protector out there. So, yeah, no rim protection equals demoralization, equals further further bad play, equals a good team having a good night on your floor. That's what you saw like last night. That's what it was. So, yeah, man. There's a game coming up with the Sacramento Kings on the road next up. I'm not sure when that game is played, probably within the next 2 days. And, we will be going up against a team that we saw very recently. We did have success against them using the small ball lineup, so it'll be a breath of fresh air coming off of this game to run into this team, but unfortunately it is on their home floor, and you know how Sacramento is. Everything that I said about Sacramento a week ago still applies. If Holmes is still out, you'll be dealing with Damian Jones. You'll be dealing with Marvin Bagley, who's getting better and healthier. Metu, if he's back from protocol, you'll be dealing with those bigs. So it ain't the same dynamic as Memphis. You could probably more so get away with it against this team. Off night, still got to worry about off night. I told y'all about off night. He didn't have the greatest game against us. That doesn't mean he won't have the greatest game against us next. The same went with Kyle Anderson in Memphis. 2 weeks ago, Kyle Anderson didn't do nothing. Last night he had a huge game, so you just don't know, But I can tell you this, guys are capable over there. Halliburton's capable. Fox is obviously capable. Off night is obviously capable. And you start going down the line, they have plenty of players, man. Including Harrison Barnes, who's probably going to go off on us. So we just need to be prepared. We can't think of this Sacramento Kings team as a breath of fresh air as it pertains to they're going to be a bad team and they're going to roll over for us to get a victory. Not at all. If we don't play better than we did last night, we could very well have the same result. I do like the fact that Austin Reeves found his shot at the end of the game, to say the least, but most importantly was very aggressive, which is what I've been calling for from him over the last 3 games. When we last saw him play well, he hit a game-winning shot, and then immediately, hours later, was sent into protocol for which he was disappeared for 5 games. So the last time we saw him, he was a hero. But somehow, to me, it seemed like when he came back, he was a little timid, a little shy about taking his shot. Until that fourth quarter last night when he reappeared as AR-15, put on his cape, and showed everybody what type of player we know we have. So as far as I'm concerned, he's earned huge minutes. I'm going to be working him into the starting lineup if I'm coach at some point very soon. And I think we're a much better basketball team with him on the floor. He understands the importance of rhythm, which is really, really important on the basketball floor. It's not just being in the right place at the right time. It's not just about being willing to make a pass. It's about what pace that pass is being made from person to person to person in that play. He gets that about as well as anybody we have on this team. And I know that LeBron James relies upon him in ways like that to be quick-minded and to help those plays remain rhythmic. And so, if that's a word, I don't think it is, rhythmic. But if he does continue to help us in those areas, I think it will reverberate across the rest of the team and our offense can get better. But we're just going to have to trust him and use him like a Lonzo Ball type of player, because that's exactly who he is. He's one of those. Makes others better, rebounds the ball, looks for his own shot. Austin Reeves is really, really good, y'all. So, yeah, that's what I want to say. And he plays defense. That's the thing. His effort is starting to turn into production, which is something I'm excited about. Malik Monk, same thing. Malik Monk is not making his money on the defensive end, but he gives you what you need from an offensive end. He's going to always score the ball. He's one of the purest shooters we've had in recent memory. And he had a bad game last night. Simple as that. He had some very uncharacteristic stuff happen last night. Missing layups. But he didn't start the game that way. To be honest with you, he started off really hot. Hitting threes, feeling confident. But as the team started to have those lulls, and as the rest of the team started to lose confidence, I think his started to disappear as well. He had some moments out there that we just hadn't seen. So I hope that isn't the beginning of a downtrend for a player who's been extremely hot. These kind of things can happen, but I think he looks great in our offense. I haven't lost any confidence in him, and I'm just hoping last night was an aberration. not a start of a trend. So that's what I'm gonna be looking for. How does he bounce back from a very bad game? THT played well. I just wish our coach would have been more confident in him playing with 2 fouls in the second quarter. I still don't understand what the hell that was about. You can continue to play the kid. If somebody gets 2 fouls in the first half and they're not a superstar, it's not the end of the world, man. Especially if you removing them is going to create problems for your roster. You know what I mean? Now, if it's a superstar, you got to be careful with their fouls. Young players, yeah, you may be concerned you might pick up that third one very quickly or what have you. But when he's a catalyst for our offense and we're struggling to score, and he's a big player who can rebound the ball and we're struggling in some of those areas, you just got to try to play him. You know, and I felt like we dropped the ball quite a bit yesterday with THT's production for how he was playing. It's very funny how Frank Vogel will leave a player out there to struggle. But then when a player's playing well, he does crap like this. So that is something that that just was a testament to how poor he's been as a coach this year. Simple as that. It was a very poor job. It was something else that I wanted to mention in that same vein. You know, you just, at the same time, Avery Bradley going, 1 for 8 in the first quarter or in the first half. I don't need Avery Bradley to even shoot that much. You know, and like I said, every time I get 2 down on Avery Bradley, he has a great game, makes me shut up. But the fact of the matter is he's so up and down that we have these situations, just like the team. His production is just like the team. Sometimes he plays well, sometimes he's not playing well, but, you know, you never know when that's going to happen because there's no rhyme or reason to it. He is a reflection of the entire team in his own way. THT's like that as well. You just get no consistency from these role players. And that's why you appreciate Malik Monk so much, because he has been consistent. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Get us some Groundhog Day guys. Give me a guy like, who's just going to be able to give me the same production every single night. Because that's the type of superstar that we have. LeBron James is going to give you the same thing every night. So he's probably going to need players who trend that way as well. Because this hot and cold nonsense, no. That's not going to get it done. So, yeah, that's something I'm concerned about. But all in all, it is concerns. It's a lot to be concerned with. We're 1 game over 500, and it is the beginning of January. And our schedule is going to continue to stay more difficult than everyone else's. That's just what it is. We already know that. And Anthony Davis is now taking jump shots. So that's something I can tell you guys. Some good news. We do have some footage of him actually, warming up and getting himself back into a position to be ready. So that was what I was hopeful to see. Next up, Kendrick Nunn, of whom I'm hoping the Lakers would just trade. Just go ahead and trade him. And it's not that I don't like Kendrick Nunn or believe in Kendrick Nunn. I just realized that I want Malik Monk and Austin Reeves to have those minutes. I don't need Kendrick Nunn messing up those guys' rhythm at all. I got Wayne Ellington. I got Avery Bradley. I'm cool with my shooting guard. I don't need another scorer, non-defensive player, non-passing player to come in and just take more shots away from other guys. I don't need that. I need a rim protector. I need a talented wing who can get out and get in the fast break and help us athletically. You know, someone who can block a shot, someone who can be long, that kind of thing. I need another Brandon Ingram type of guy. I don't need Kendrick Nunn's prototype. He's not going to do anything but take away from the guys who are going to play best for us defensively. We need to be honest about that. So yeah, trade him and his $5 million and get us back some players. So, and all this talk from fans saying, "Oh, we can't trade Kendrick Nunn." Where do you guys get this from? You haven't even seen the dude. Like, he's the one player that we've literally only seen but in preseason. But people are just saying we can't let go of him. I'm like, look, I know he can score 30. I remember what he did in the finals. I know exactly who Kendrick Nunn is. But I also know he can disappear. I also know it was like 8 and 9 people who stepped in front of him on the depth chart in Miami. And we gave him our mid-level exception, and he ain't been healthy all year. So you can't miss nothing you never had, but you can get something for it. And that is why I'm ready to move on from that $5 million mid-level Kendrick Nunn contract. That needs to move on, man. Because at this point, even if he plays out the rest of the season, you've already been duped on the value of the contract. Like seriously. But what you can do is recoup that by bringing something in that you want. and that's how I'm looking at it. So yeah, that was a failure. Um, what else, man? That's that. That's really it. I'm looking forward to the Lakers kind of bouncing back against a bad Sacramento King team in theory, though at home I'm sure they're going to play with a lot more confidence. Um, they have an interim coach in right now in Alvin Gentry, of whom I've never really been high on. I think of him as a guy he's a kind of get by kind of coach. If you have him, you can get by. But I've been watching his team since the Grant Hill days, and they've never really been that good. So when I look at a team with a lot of potential, and I look at Alvin Gentry as a coach, I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna get the most out of that team. We should be able to run them over. And I know that sounds cold, but that's how I've always viewed this coach, and I've never been wrong about that. The only time he really stepped out was against with the Phoenix Suns when he had Steve Nash and all those great players, and even then they underachieved as him as their coach. So that's the truth, man. When somebody's a great coach, I'll point it out. Lose a great coach. You know what I'm saying? Carlisle, great coach. I look at obviously Popovich. Come on, but Alvin Gentry, nah, nope. I don't have him in a very high tier, man. But all in all, that doesn't mean we can't get our butts whooped by his team tomorrow. So we had better be ready. So anyway, that's what I got to say, man. My name is BDF44. I thank y'all for putting up with me, and I'm out.